Chapter 13. Operation Warp Speed and President Trump. In reviewing the literature on the lessons learned from COVID-19 and the opinions of many acknowledged experts, it becomes apparent that there is widespread disagreement regarding the way President Trump managed the COVID-19 crisis in 2020. Having closely followed the pandemic even before its official designation as a pandemic, I have some significant concerns and disagreements with many of these expert reviews and opinions. I am deeply saddened and incredulous at some of their conclusions. It is important to remember that President Trump maintained a respectable approval rating during the first 3 years of his presidency. In 2020, the COVID-19 crisis threatened President Trump's chances of getting re-elected, and in my opinion, this misfortune was unfairly leveraged against him for political purposes. The following are some of my own observations that aim to provide a more accurate account of this challenging period. There seems to have been, and continues to be, an effort to portray Trump's actions as solely motivated by a desire to secure re-election in November 2020. However, when the full context is considered, these characterizations are clearly inaccurate. In the future, history may reevaluate these events and recognize that President Trump's actions were driven by his deep pride in his work, concern for American lives, and a strong will to endure under difficult circumstances. To provide a fairer assessment, I will share some of my personal observations and interpretations, particularly concerning the management of the COVID-19 pandemic. The central theme of the COVID-19 success story is the rapid development of vaccines, made possible by Operation Warp Speed, OWS. Before the November 2020 elections, OWS was the pet project of President Trump and the media, and his opponents accused him of making false promises to the public to get elected. He was especially criticized for promising that a vaccine would be ready by the end of the year. Initially, many in the press ridiculed and criticized him for dangerously promoting unsafe and untested vaccines on a naive citizenry. As noted by Amy and Sean, in the past elections, calling into question whether an incumbent might risk deliberate harm to Americans to forward his political ambition was not the norm, suggesting that these experts crossed this threshold to attack President Trump to imply that he would harm the Americans for his political gains. But we have seen that for many so-called experts, anything goes when blaming President Trump. On September 16, 2020, Amy and Sean reported that speaking in Wilmington, Delaware, Biden expressed reservations about whether a coronavirus vaccine approved by the Trump administration would be safe, casting doubt on the incumbent's willingness to put the health and safety of Americans before politics. However, after the election, then President-elect Biden made a complete about-face. About 2 months later, when the election results were confirmed, Mr. Biden told CNN that he would be happy to take a vaccine in public to allay potential concerns about the safety, BBC. After the election, when the vaccines were made available within the same year as then President Trump had promised, those who had previously criticized him suddenly embraced vaccines and certified their safety by taking them themselves. Subsequently, credit for Operation Warp Speed was shifted from President Trump to those who worked under him through carefully crafted statements,